No, 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 get away, get away, get away! The day has finally arrived. I found a Roblox horror game that is actually good. That's right, for the first time in this channel's not very long history, I am going to be complimenting a Roblox horror game. Deep Nightmares in the Closet is a single-player Roblox horror game that was created in August last year. Despite having been around for quite a few months and appearing in many videos with quite a lot of views, it has only amassed about 5,000 visits, which is criminally few for a game so good. Now, just like always, before I can talk about what I like about this game, I have to tell you roughly how the game works. The game is divided into 6 chapters, with the first one being called The Closet. I already made a joke about coming off the closet in my previous video, so I won't do it again. The game starts off by spawning you in a dark room and being chased by this thing. Really interesting start to a game, and that's all the context you're gonna get. You then wake up in what I assume to be your room, and a random portal appears in your closet. This portal will then transport you to the beginning of your nightmare. Once you enter your nightmare, you immediately realize that you are either really short or everything around you is really big. As somebody who's really short in real life, like I'm literally 5'3", I can confirm that this is exactly what my day-to-day life looks like. After exploring the area for a bit, you come across a vent which you can only access by climbing the chairs and pipes. After walking through the vent, you get this glimpse of somebody sleeping. This is also when the first and only jump scare in the entire game happens. It is a lot scarier like when you're actually playing the game for like the first time, so I guess this footage doesn't really do it justice. After exiting the vent and walking through this dining area, we get a glimpse of an eye looking at us through the wall, and then after walking up the steps, we plummet into trash. There's then this big furnace-like thing, and we have to like get a key and hide for it while it goes up and down across the hall. Now, this is just a copy of Get Crushed by a Speeding Wall, and I know so far the game doesn't look amazing, but it gets really good like towards the later chapters, so just stay with me over here. After getting the key, we have to run towards the door with the lock, but we have to also hide in holes in the wall to not get squished by the furnace. Again, if you've played Get Crushed by a Speeding Wall, which like 99% of you have, it's basically roughly the same thing. Upon unlocking the door and going through it, we are then brought to this like fire section, I guess, and I think it's pretty self-explanatory. You just run when there's no fire and don't run when there is fire. It is kind of just filler gameplay, but I rather this than just walking endlessly in the hallway. When we finish this section, we enter the next room and see it's somebody just like walking across the corridor above us. Pretty creepy. Anyways, after he finishes walking across, we can go ahead and pull this lever, which, you know, unlocks the door which we can go through, and we enter a lift. This lift, which doesn't really look like a lift but I'll let it slide, will then close and transport us to chapter 2 of the game. Chapter 2 is called The Factory and appropriately spawns us in the lift where we left off earlier. Upon exiting the lift, we are greeted with a completely different environment and some parkour to start us off with. You may have noticed a cut in the video, but I can promise you it's definitely not because I fell here one too many times. Oh my god. Leaving the parkour area behind, we then continue to explore the area until we find a vent in one of the walls. Again, but there's gonna be a few vents in this game. While you innocently continue to explore the place without a fear in the world, Grandma bursts down the door and now is chasing you and you have to run for your life. I don't know how she's so fast, but I guess the fact that she's like 10 times taller than us is like a good reason, but whatever. You pull the lever, go okay, I failed this time, but you pull the lever, you go through the door and just continue running for your life in this place that you don't have a chance to explore while she's like mercilessly chasing after you. You head in there and you think you're safe, but then there's like a million conveyors and now you're gonna get crushed to death, so you have to like run backwards on the conveyor which is faster than you, so you know you just have to like avoid them from crushing you three times. I don't know how to make it sound exciting again. And then you get like flung to your doom on the speeding conveyor where you have to keep jumping and try to press a button to stop it. It's a lot of things like going on at once, in case you couldn't tell. And that's one of the reasons why I really like this game, because like it's so chaotic at times and like it just makes it very exciting to play. You then cross this like collapsing bridge, which I definitely didn't fail a lot of times before I got across. And then you see this little guy in a cage. This is going to be you and your entire family if you do not like and subscribe. Looking around the area, you will find a painting which you can actually click and will fall down, which will reveal a button behind it. Clicking the button will open up a hole in the wall which leads to toilets. So skibbity, or whatever the kids nowadays say. There is then another hole in the wall which you can go through. Okay, you can go through this hole, but you can turn left and continue going through the hole in the wall, which will lead you to a whole new area where, okay, grandma's back again, time for yet another chase scene. Okay, look, I don't know how to make like fast-paced good commentary, but over here you can either turn left or right. Turning left will lead to your doom. A bit unfair, I know. But if you turn right, because right is always right, you'll be met with these like crusher things, which you actually have to like time while grandma is chasing you. And for whatever reason, she can phase through them, so you're at a severe disadvantage here. But anyways, you enter a vent, and oh shit, the vent drops you all the way down, and there that guy is again. Remember him from chapter 1? Yep, he's back again, but instead of hiding holes in the wall, you now have to do parkour. If you do it too slowly, he will kill you. And you know, the parkour was to get this lever over here, which will allow you to open the door to escape from, and you know you've escaped because the door closed, and there is the word exit on the door behind you. Surely this means we can exit? Yeah, no, obviously not, right? So we enter chapter 3 of the game now, which is called Disturbed Reality. You spawn in a completely different environment from where we left off in chapter 2, or maybe we don't since we ended off, you know, in the darkness, but we get to see this cool painting of this guy. It's not a painting. After that creepy altercation, we then find yet another small hole in the wall on the left, and we can go through it because, you know, there's not really much else we can do. We see this weird like voodoo doll looking thing, but we don't really care, and then we go through yet more corridors and enter this place with this guy with a key. You can grab the key off his back, and I think the idea was to have to chase him around the area to like get the key, but he kind of just ran straight into me, so thank you for that. After running around this purple area, you will come across a door with a button next to it which you can actually press. Behind that door is yet another door, but this time you need a red key, so thankfully we have exactly that. After walking around for a while, we enter this pitch black room with nothing but a button that turns on a TV. This TV, for whatever reason, attracts the attention of 3 really cute stuffed animals or whatever they are. I will say though, I am a little bit concerned for their eyesight, considering they're looking at nothing but a white screen. But just look at how cute they are, you know, surely they can't get hurt. Speaking of getting hurt, we can now progress with the game by going through the door which they came out of. At the end of the corridor, there's a little parkour section where you have to like stand on the carpets and not the wooden floor so that you don't wake up this like wolf alligator looking thing. I don't really know what it is. This parkour isn't like too hard, and I definitely didn't fail like more than 20 times, but none of that is important because look at how well I'm doing. I'm not gonna lie, these jumps are really pretty far even if you're sprinting. Over here you have to go to the left and just continue. There's like another path on the right which isn't really a path, and it's kind of impossible to do the jumps, so I got like debated a bunch of times there. Anyways, once you finish the parkour and walk through a corridor, the dog alligator hybrid or whatever it is, I don't really know, will come running after you from the wall. And then, you know, to avoid it, you have to run through the walls. They're like really conveniently and nicely shaped holes in the wall, and oh shit, he can burst through them. Okay, so you just gotta keep running through them. It's not extremely exciting or whatever, but he is pretty close behind you all the time. At the end, there's also this ladder, which is so annoying to climb because you know he's right there. But okay, we're safe, and obviously we're not. He's still chasing us. I don't know how we got there, but now we have to break down these barriers by clicking them. It takes so awfully long to break down these barriers. I feel like the dog's literally like right behind. Okay, he actually is pretty near. And then we enter this vent, and haha, he is locked outside. Now that the endurance test for my lungs is complete, we can drop down from the vent and enter this like creepy mannequin area before entering yet another vent. Well, I don't really know what this is this time. Is this really a vent? I don't really know. We then enter this really big room with two quote-unquote puzzles. I say quote-unquote because they are as easy as A, B, C. No, like literally, all you need to do is click on letters like B, C, and D, and then they'll just go into the right slot themselves, and then that's like one of the puzzles. After you click those letters, you can go back and collect a star that was hidden in a cage before. You can then place this star into this holder thing. Again, I don't really know what these things are called. And on the other side, we have to get a heart from this man. And quite literally, because we have to press this button to drop him down into... Okay, I missed. But you have to press this button to drop him down into spikes and kill him and take his heart. Hopefully this video comes out before Valentine's so that you can show your significant other how to steal your heart. Upon placing both the heart and the star into the door, we can walk into the abyss yet again and enter chapter 4, which is titled Far From Home. You spawn in some kind of like bathroom or like shower area, you know, the kind that you see in like swimming pools and whatever. But none of that is important because at the end of this is like a wall of flesh that you can click. Clicking this wall of flesh will reveal a whole new area of even more flesh. There's like bones and limbs on the floor. Again, I don't really know what's going on, but it should be fine. Let's just keep progressing. After walking for a while, we find this area with like parkour, and you have to like time your jumps so that when the pillars are going down, you jump to the next pillar. Anybody who has like any idea how physics works should be able to know like how to do this part. The next section is another quote-unquote puzzle. There's 4 pictures of stuff on the wall with like the word food chain, and there's numbers on the floor which, you know, you assign to members of the food chain. I guess that just now they were testing your physics, so now they're testing your biology. Once you finish assigning all 4 numbers, you can click the button and progress to the next area. This next area starts off with like a mini maze, and in it you will find this phone which will keep on ringing until you either hang up or answer the phone. If you answer the phone, it will just have weird like distorted static noises, and if you hang up, well, that's just rude, but you'll just hang up anyways. As you continue to explore the area, you will find more and more of these type of phones. Surely these phones are harmless. Wink wink. Oh, also, this is live footage of my throat dying while I'm trying to record this. Haha. In this room, you will find a door that you can open because that's how doors work, and welcome to the first boss fight of this game. At first glance, it is just a room with a lot of the phones ringing, and okay, that thing just spawned. In order to get rid of that thing, we have to run around the room and hang up on all of the phones. I'm not sure what exactly this like implies lore-wise, but you know, it's a pretty cool gimmick. This section is actually so stressful because you can like see the shadow of the guy like chasing you. You know he's like right behind you the whole time, so you have barely any time to slowly aim your mouse at the hang up button. Now I won't bore you with the gameplay of me struggling to like click buttons for 10 minutes straight, so I'll just like skip to the part where I finish. After hanging up on every single phone, the monster mysteriously disappears and a cork falls from the ceiling. We can then bring this cork to this room with like a bunch of crypts and insert it into a wall. I'm no engineer, but I don't think that's how gears and cogs work, but whatever, the gate is lifted. This next section contains like a bunch of creepy bears or toys. I don't really know what they are, and they're all like locked up in jail, and this one guy's watching TV, so good for him, at least he has entertainment. Eventually we find a cell with like a lever beside it. If we pull the lever, we can enter, and there's a secret like passageway behind it. There's also like a dead whatever that thing is, but surely it can't be anything bad. At the end of the passageway, we find a door which leads to another door. There's also this like weird doll looking thing that shuts the door. Oh my god, I feel like I'm Dr. Seuss. We then sneak around this like old creepy man. I don't know if he's a man, but he's watching TV without eyes, so he has to know something I don't. We eventually find this lever, pull it, and get trapped very comically as if I was in Tom and Jerry or something. But hey look, chapter 5, the brain barber. We spawn in the cage, but I don't think that's the same cage. This is significantly smaller and we're in a completely different environment. It's not explained how we got here, but oh look at that, a cute teddy bear came to save us. And he's not alive anymore. Okay, that was weird. This next part is a little bit boring, so I'll skip through it. You find like this keypad, and then we find this chart of brains which correspond to the numbers to the keypad. We enter in the code, we get a key, and we unlock a door. Even though that part was boring, This next part definitely isn't. Because when you open this door, that monstrosity appears and we have to run. It is another chase scene, but there's this really like stupid section at the end over here. We have to press 3 buttons, and because we are so comically short, it is so hard to press that last button. You can watch me struggle for like a really long time here, and they must know how hard it is to press this button because they gave you a long time. Also, there's now like spider brains or whatever. Don't ask me where they came from. Just accept it now. But yeah, we can now run behind. Oh, okay. I guess we can't run to the door. In this next room, we have to hide in case the word hide isn't enough of a clue. And then if you hide under this desk, this guy won't be able to get you. He has scissors, which is mildly concerning, but then I remembered that the chapter is called The Brain Barber, so I guess that makes sense now. Once he leaves, we can enter this room where we have to collect 5 statues and place them on like pedestals or something before the roof collapses on us. Well, it's not really collapsing, but like it's slowly coming down on us. If we do it in time, the roof will magically teleport back to the top. And oh look, it's that TV we've seen like 5 times now. We now have to climb to the top of the room to access a vent. I told you at the start of this video that this game really likes vents, and so far vents haven't really given us much of an issue, so nothing could go wrong. Okay, well, now we drop down straight into another chase scene with the same guy we just avoided. Now we have to avoid the holes in the floor while not avoiding the hole in the wall, and just plummet down and not break our legs somehow. And those legs are really important because now we have to do parkour up these like platforms to get a key, and once we get this key, we have to avoid the monster and go through the door. We are almost at the end of the game now, as once we get out of this rubbish pile and go up a flight of stairs, we enter chapter 6, which is the final chapter called Restricted Area. The chapter spawns us in front of even more stairs and a huge wall of pictures that we have seen throughout this game multiple times. We then encounter this thing that sits on a throne but disappears once we get near to it. Again, not sure how this really ties into the storyline. But we now enter yet another boss fight where we are told to destroy the televisions. And fun fact, when your screen goes foggy, he teleports. Yeah, he's a little bit overpowered, so it did take me quite a few tries to beat this, but it's so intense because again, he's always right behind you. You can't slow down for the entire boss fight at all. Once you finally destroy the last television, the old man disappears and an opening in the wall appears. You know, this is not the first time this has happened in the game. You should expect that by now. There's then yet another lift, which we actually haven't seen in quite a few chapters. After the lift, we enter this room and pull this lever. Oh, okay, well the lever broke, so now we have to go and find a replacement. Thankfully, we just know that there's a ladder in the attic or whatever, so we climb to the top, get the lever, replace the lever, pull the lever, and go through because we put the lever. Yay! That happiness is really short-lived, however, because immediately in the next section is, you guessed it, another boss fight. I guess they realized the game is ending really fast and had to spam boss fights now. And do you realize how fast he is? Yeah, he's faster than you, that's why I died. What you're supposed to do is run away and like pull these levers on the walls and hide from it in these holes in the middle pillar. That's the only way you can like so-called outrun it, because he will outrun you if you're just like sprinting in one direction. So the only way to avoid it is, you know, hiding in these holes. That might seem really basic at first, but it gets very nerve-wracking. We have to like climb these closets to get some of those levers and then like rush back into the hole to avoid him. And some of these levers are so far away, like this one. Why is it so far away from every single hiding spot in this entire boss fight? Look at how close it was. I can like by the time I get in, turn around, his legs are already there. Once you get all the levers, this opening opens up and you drop down and it's immediately a chase sequence. If you die here, you just get sent back to the start of the lever pulling segment. So it is a little bit of a pain, but it's not that bad. This is the last like boss fight slash chase scene though. So yeah, basically everything that can stop you from winning has not. Well, I mean, unless you count this last parkour section, which is basically the same thing as that one in the start with like the dog alligator thing where you don't want to wake him up. But now it's an old man and you have to pickpocket his key and then, you know, just go back. It's very short and it's really not hard, so I don't see any way how you can fail this. But once you pickpocket the key, you can unlock this circular thing. Oh, look, it's the portal from the start of the game. We are finally able to escape. You know, it's a nice like tail end ending thing. I don't know. I didn't do well for English. But look, once we enter in, we turn around and the portal is gone. But we're now in the real world. We're like actual size right now. I think. I don't know. I'm very short. But now we can just escape and we made it. Good game. The end. Alright, now that I've finally finished talking about the entire game, I can now talk about what I like about this game. Alright, let's start with the gameplay, because gameplay is the most important thing in the game, at least to me. Unlike almost every other Roblox horror game on the platform, the gameplay doesn't just consist of you running around like a map and then trying to find keys to open doors 20 times, and then that's the whole game. There's also not like an arbitrary AI monster that just chases you around the entire time, which does nothing but to, you know, hinder your progression. Even though there's like a lot of unnecessary filler gameplay throughout the game, like there's a lot of sections such as this fire thing that really didn't need to be there, you can tell that there was still like effort put into most of these sections. For example, you could tell the effort put into like the chase sequences, because you really need to like observe your surroundings to see where to go, and it's also pretty intense because like the monster is right behind you the entire time. I feel like they balance the gameplay difficulty very well. For example, the 3 boss fights, which is the ones where you have to hang up the phone, destroy the televisions, and pull the levers, chances are you're not going to be able to beat these boss fights the first time around, especially if you haven't like seen a tutorial or anything. But it's okay because the game is like very forgiving in a sense that like while you're learning how the boss fight works, even if you die, you get spawned right back to the boss fight. You don't have to do any like unnecessary gameplay to get back there. And as for the raw difficulty of the boss fights themselves, I feel like they're at a sweet spot where it isn't too easy and it also isn't excessively difficult. So that means that you'll jump from dying immediately to getting very close to the end very fast. And this like creates a sense of accomplishment and also keeps you at the edge of your seat because you're still new to this environment but you feel yourself getting close. The mechanics of the boss fights are also very simple. I mean, 2 of them just require you to click buttons and the other one just requires you to drop bombs in front of a television. It is a little bit too simple to me, but at least this makes it so that everybody like has a chance to play through the entire game and they're not stuck at like one specific section for too long. Aside from the boss fights, most of the rest of the game is also actually engaging in the sense that you're always trying to accomplish or overcome something. Again, you never feel like you're just walking around in this game. For example, like at the parkour sections or this section where you're trying to prevent the roof from falling down, or even the puzzle sections, you always have a clear end goal in mind. Now onto the second thing that I really like about this game, which is the atmosphere and like the environment of the entire game. The overall like environment and everything is so unique compared to like most of the other Roblox horror games out there. It's not just like a creepy worn down house, you're not in the middle of the woods, and it's not like some backrooms thing. It's something completely unique and like exclusive to this game. I also really like how by making the player character so small, it gives like new ways to explore a map, such as like climbing onto furniture. It also makes the threats like the dog alligator thing and whatnot so much more intimidating because they're like 20 times your size now. The sound design in this game is also really good. Like when you're in the chase sequence, there's some really intense music playing, and once you're out of it, it just shuts off into like complete silence, which provides like a sense of relief and oh shit, I actually managed to avoid that threat. On the topic of like sound design, the creator of the game even made an entire soundtrack just for this game. And I must say that I really like the soundtrack, especially this one track called Unknown Call, because it uses the phone ringing sound that we hear like before the boss fight in the boss fight. Here, I'll play a little bit of it for you. Isn't that just insane? I bet it sounds a lot better than listening to me ramble. So go check out the soundtrack like when you're done with this video. Don't click off the video, don't you dare. Okay, another thing that I like about this game is the lore, or if there's no lore, at least like the narrative of the game. At first you might think that this is just like a bunch of random ideas thrown together, but I feel like there is at least a overall narrative going on. I mean, at the very least, you see some reoccurring things, for example the portal at the start and and at the end of the game. And this television that you see at the start of the game, which has like a little man hidden in it, and then you see the same television appear multiple times in the game. Like, I feel like that should have at least some addition to the narrative. There's also other reoccurring characters like this teddy bear that is sometimes alive and sometimes not alive, and this big oven thing. Again, I don't know if I am just overthinking it, but I like the fact that it maintains like a consistent narrative throughout the game. Like, going back to the television thing, I find it interesting how every time there's any other character in front of the television, it's just like completely like paralyzed. It's just completely zoned in, and towards the end of the game we're told to destroy all the televisions. I really don't know if I'm overthinking this and if there's actually any lore to this game, but I really hope there is, and I hope that I'm correct, of course. Another thing about this narrative is the lack of context, which usually might be a bad thing, but in this case I think that it creates like a really strong sense of like mystery, and it actually works out this time. Like, throughout the game, while you're exploring such a weird and foreign environment, you're constantly thinking to yourself, what on earth is this, what the hell is that? And it's a great way to keep the player hooked and like wondering more about your game. The last aspect of the game that I want to talk about is like the horror aspect of the game. You might have realized that there isn't really anything explicitly horror about this game. I mean, there's only like one jump scare in the whole game near the start, and besides that, really nothing screams horror. If this game was like a little bit more bright and colorful, you might just pass it off as a normal adventure game. But the thing that I think makes it like work as a horror game is that the entire time it is just pretty unsettling. Mainly due to, again, the sound design and the environment, because it is so eerily quiet at times and the environment is like so weird and mysterious, I guess. It just makes the player like always on the edge of their seat, thinking that like maybe something's gonna pop out of the wall or drop down from the ceiling, but it never actually really happens, which like builds up even more tension as you progress, and all that tension is released at like one point where the door swings open at you. It's not even like an inherently scary moment in itself, but because of the fact that you have been like anticipating something for so long, and something as small as the door swinging open at you happens, it works just as well as like any other really loud jump scare, if not even better. Overall, I just really love this Roblox horror game because it is just so fun to play through, especially the first time around. I don't know if it's very replayable, considering, you know, you've already done everything there is to do and you're like expecting all the scares and whatnot. But the first playthrough really leaves an impression and makes you think that, wow, this is like something different than everything else you've been playing on the platform. Alright, that's all I have to say about Deep Nightmares in the Closet. Sorry for the almost 2 week, not 2 weeks yet, but almost 2 week wait between last video and this video. I fell sick twice in the middle of recording this, and when I did record like a playthrough of this game the first time, OBS Studio decided to be really funny and corrupt the entire file, so I had to play through the entire thing again, and I forgot to record. That was completely on me though, so I had to play through this game 3 times before I actually got a recording, which took quite a while. You can see how long this game is. But anyways, that is all for this video. Thank you so much for watching. We're almost at 500 subscribers, so make sure to subscribe and join my Discord server, link below. If you join within this week, you will get a special role. Alright, goodbye.